Welcome to Emotional Support Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish.
And so I ended up listening to Poor Things.
Oh, you did?
Book. Yeah.
How was the book?
I actually enjoyed the book, and I felt like the movie was like pretty true to the book, but I will say the like heavy sexual stuff that was in the movie wasn't in the book. It was just, it was just mentioned, like the sexual stuff was mentioned, like it was part of the story, but not in the way that not in the way that the movie was so like explicit.
That is kind of shocking to hear that, because that was pretty much the main premise of the movie.
I know, that's what I thought too. I was like, okay. But I feel like, I feel like it definitely, there could have been a lot more cut out in the movie. Because like when she's working at that like
brothel.
The brothel thing, it's like kind of a smaller part of the book.
And they extended that out for quite a long time in the movie.
They did, yeah. So, but other than that, it was like pretty, like the story kept about the same. Just at the end of the book, it like, this was the only part I didn't like about the book, was like the end notes thing, and it was like, I don't know, it was just too long, and I didn't like that part. But besides that part, the book was good.
That's good. But
I just wanted to.
Weird that it was different. Like,
I know.
So much so.
I know. I wonder why they made that choice.
I know. That creative decision.
Extend that so much, but anywho. Just wanted an update on that.
Yeah. Thank you for the update.
Book good, movie did okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess usually they cut things out of the book for the movie, and this time they did the opposite.
Heavily added.
Yeah. Heavily. That's funny. I don't know if you saw this thing on TikTok, but I've been seeing like multiple girls in New York are saying that they are just walking on the street and then they get punched in the face by a stranger.
Yeah, I did see some of those.
And I haven't like gone into the validity of anything, but just in general, when I see stuff like that, and when like multiple people are hopping on and being like, oh, that happened to me, I automatically am skeptical and just don't know if I believe, like, I don't know. It's just like, is this a trend, or is this really happening?
I know, like the one girl I saw, I did believe her, because she was like crying and had this gigantic goose egg on her face.
That's like, just wild.
It was that, but then the other girls, well, I guess I only saw one other girl, and then people in the comments were like, this is like the 7th one I've seen, but I don't remember if she had like the goose egg thing. But that one girl got like a ton of views for that with the big goose egg. So I don't know if people are making that up or not.
If that is all true, that is just insane. Like that is happening. That is horrible.
I know.
And if it's not true and they're making it up, it's also insane, because why would you do that?
Well, and then the one girl with the giant goose egg, I guess, I don't know if I'm misremembering the story, but I think she said she was walking her dog and looking down at her phone. And then when she like did the like story time, she was like, I don't know if he punched me or if he like elbowed me, kind of like, and like kind of like checked me, like pay attention to what you're doing thing, which is kind of different than, I mean, she still was clearly hurt. Different than
a straight punch
to the face.
I mean, nobody deserves that, But you really do need to keep your eyes up. Like, you can't be on your phones like that. I mean, in a city, like, you're just vulnerable, you know?
Very.
There's a lot of people on these roads, and people are getting wilder and wilder out here. Like, you've got to keep your wits about you.
I know. And it's tough too because we're like always hearing about that stuff
Yeah.
now, where it's like before you just wouldn't have a way of hearing about it. It'd be like a fluke
Right.
thing. So it's
Well,
like maybe it's always been this way.
Right. And for us, we don't live in a big city like that where these types of things are even occurring. So to us, it seems so that's not possible. You know, like it doesn't even seem in the realm of possibility for us.
You know, because we're always in cars. Like we're never
walking anywhere.
Never. Literally never.
So I don't know. I just was like, I just don't know what to think, because sometimes on TikTok too, people will just like make something up and they'll be like, no, I was kidding, you know, when it like gains traction or whatever, if it was controversial or something. So I'm just like, this isn't a news source. This is just an app for entertainment. And I don't always know what is fully real and what isn't.
I know. It's definitely tough with TikTok. And we've even talked about that too, where we're like, let's make something up.
I know.
See if we can get some views.
To get us some traction. We're the problem.
It's a wild story that's 50 parts long.
I know. But we don't have anything good to even make up.
No.
I wanted to point out too, I finally have my Every Night is VPR Night hoodie that took about a month to arrive. I think that they forgot about my order.
Well, I feel like you kind of like with the merch stuff. I do feel like a lot of people complain, like it's like they don't do your order until you like reach back out to them. It's like,
well,
why?
And they did say like it won't, I can't remember the exact date, but they're like, it won't ship until this date. And it was, you know, a couple weeks after I had ordered it. So I get that with production and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I completely agree. Like, I don't think I would have gotten it if I didn't email them. You know, it was a week and a half maybe after that date and say, hey, you know, I'm just wondering the status, because pretty much immediately after that, I got tracking information and then I got my orders. So
hold on a second.
Yeah.
Like, shoot.
Like, I know. Damn it, we have to send this one out.
We couldn't just pocket the money.
Yeah. And this wasn't like super cheap either, you know, like none of the merch ever is like 20 bucks.
Right. It's like you're not paying under $40 for merch for anything.
Right. But I mean, it's cozy. The thing that's funny though is I think it's just like Gildan or John Sport or whatever, like hoodie, but they took the tag off the back and screen printed emo night on it as if it's like theirs when it clearly is not.
Like they have the manufacturer.
Yeah. Like, no, you just buy the hoodies in bulk and get them printed. But whatever. It's fine. At least I got it, I guess.
Right.
my only oh no, I have that's just Bravo merch. This is my Brooks and Dawn tee, which I love that. That came in a good amount of time, but this is my only VPR piece of merch. So I guess it's a memorabilia piece.
It's so annoying when you like get on Amazon or something, you can get something like next day or in 2 days and then actually order from other places, you're like, oh, I have to wait 2 weeks, 3
I
weeks.
know. I know.
Ew,
We're
I
so
want it
spoiled.
now.
We're so spoiled. We're
We
such
need that
little
instant
snobs.
gratification.
I know.
I listened to Elliot Page's book too.
Oh, yes. We had talked about that like a
Yeah.
long time ago, just about the book in general.
Yeah, because we were like, do these people know that there is a book?
Yeah.
But as far as like the Kate Mara stuff, she definitely would have had to have known because it seems like they're still friends now, from my understanding.
Well, that's good because
I know, like
I mean,
they
I
just
wouldn't.
closing her.
I wouldn't think that Elliot Page would do that just
Right,
because of everything that he's had to go through.
right.
But I mean, I don't know. Was he going rogue? We
I
didn't
know.
know.
Yeah. Well, and then the way the media like paints it out, you're like,
Mhm.
whoa, hold on. And they do that with everybody's book, but you just have to wonder. Like,
Yeah, I know.
but
So
I
how
actually
was
thought
it?
it actually wasn't too bad because I feel like it always scares me with like the celebrity books when they talk about like a specific, like medical issue or just anything that's like one topic, if they're gonna sound really out of touch. Because
Yeah,
it's like they do have the access to like more medical care
everything.
and like anything they want. Like they want to learn how to ski, it's like they can do it tomorrow and spend
Mhm.
3 months learning to ski. But I actually didn't feel like this book was that way, and I also felt like he acknowledged it when he was going to get his top surgery, and he wanted to get it done before he started back filming the Umbrella Academy, and then it was like it just wasn't going to work. But then there ended up being a cancellation, and they called him, and like they were able to do it. And
Oh
he's
my
like,
gosh.
I know, he's like, I know I'm going to sound like the most privileged, like it's not fair, and I'm sorry that it happened for me. But then he was able to get it or whatever. But so I felt like he was really good at acknowledging that kind of stuff. And but I felt like there's kind of a lot of like too much, I don't know, like artistic talk, like I feel like sometimes celebrities are like, no, I'm not a dumb celebrity, like
Yeah,
I can think and stuff. So I feel like there's like a little bit too much of that, and I do believe that's probably the way he is, but it was just like a little bit
like what are you trying to
pretentious.
prove?
Yeah, it's like I never thought you were dumb before, but
Yeah,
I just feel like some celebrities will do that in their books. And other than that, that was
it
really
was
my
good.
only like critique. And I felt like there was like parts too where when he was like a teenager and like being abused in the like entertainment industry and
Mhm.
stuff, and that was really sad, especially with like everything going on now with like the Nickelodeon documentary and all
Yeah,
that stuff. And it's just always sad to hear that stuff.
I
So
know.
that sucked. And then like just being called like through his whole life, like homophobic slurs and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And that always just makes me sad
I
too.
know.
Just
Did
sucks.
did he say like when he knew that he wasn't in the right body?
That was the part that like I felt like I do feel like there wasn't like a clear moment when I felt at like listening to it where he felt the way he was. But it was kind
Mhm.
of like a struggle just the whole time
Okay.
up until literally when he came out as trans,
Yeah.
basically. And so I didn't, yeah, I just felt like there wasn't, and maybe it was just me like listening to it, but it just seemed like a constant struggle of understanding the sexuality versus gender identity and then
Yeah.
the gender dysmorphia. So it was very complex. And then he also talks about too, like, because I do think it is hard to understand if you're not going through it.
Mhm.
And he was kind of like, I literally can't explain it It's like I just feel it and I can't explain it. And it was like,
Yeah. How can you?
right. I don't know.
I
Yeah, I just
feel like that's probably pretty accurate, though, of where
right,
it's not just you wake up one day and you're like, oh, wait,
right,
I get it now. Like it
right,
probably is, especially since that wasn't really like a conversation that people were necessarily like comfortable or fully open or allowed to be having.
hmm
So in the years where he finally came out as trans was when, he was probably able to have those types of conversations with people and then figure out like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is like what this is called, or I can finally put a label to my feeling inside. Like it
right,
definitely isn't like a decision that happens, instantly. That
right.
is, I can't imagine. Like, that is something I don't think you're right. Like, unless you go through it, how can you fully comprehend?
I know it was because I guess I was trying to like, because like I think everybody goes through a point where you just feel really uncomfortable in your own skin and
Hmm.
like self hatred and stuff. And but I've never felt like the wrong gender, and I just feel like that
Yeah.
would just be so like I'm like trying to compare it to that, but it is so much more than that.
Yeah.
And it's probably, obviously everybody's journey is going to be different with it. But
Yeah.
I did feel like after listening to the book, I felt a lot more compassionate for people struggling with that. Not that I
Hmm.
didn't before, but it was kind of like, that's not my experience.
But I
So,
mean, it's kind of nice to have that he wrote a book about it and
right.
it just kind of gave you more of a candid look into that process and his feelings. And yeah, we've had interviews with people before, but nothing that was like that. Like the only one that I can think of that would be like in depth, like a longer thing would be Caitlyn Jenner,
hmm
where there was that like documentary about it, that series. But like, sure, there's plenty of other trans people in the like entertainment industry, but like that Elliot Page's book was like big news.
I know. And it was interesting too, because I don't feel like we get to hear a lot from like the female to male transition.
Yes, I
I feel like
agree.
right, it's like we're always or it feels like we're always hearing about the male to female, and I feel like
Hmm.
that gets more of a platform than the female to male transition, and so it was kind of interesting to hear that perspective too.
Yeah, the other kind of side of it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any I feel like there wasn't really like any super juicy stuff in there.
Yeah.
And he didn't really talk about his marriage, which I thought
Oh,
was it was like glazed over, and I don't maybe the previous partner didn't want to be talked about
yeah.
that much or something, but I was like really surprised that it's like I feel like a marriage with somebody is like a pretty significant part of somebody's life, and it was like,
Yeah.
"Whoop, yeah, done with that."
Yeah, like a footnote in the whole
Yeah,
book.
literally, and it went,
Yeah.
like, out of order a lot, so I'm like, well,
Oh,
maybe
that's
that kinda
annoying.
has to, like, do with it too, like, I don't know,
Mhm.
but, well,
I
I'm gonna
hate
get any
that.
clarity on that. I know.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, the out of order part.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad, but there was a couple times, like, because I wasn't visually reading it,
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, wait, we're back to being a teenager." Because I feel like the ending kinda confused me because it was, like, back to being a teenager.
Mm.
And then I was like, "Wait, what?" But anyway, it wasn't a bad book.
Yeah. That is the thing. Sometimes when you're reading a book physically, like there are other little clues or something that help
Right.
you, or I don't know,
Or
sometimes when I
paragraph.
listen, yeah, or when I listen to an audiobook, it's really easy to zone out for a minute, and
Yeah.
then you miss something and you didn't even realize that you missed
Right.
something.
Or if like the volume's down a little too low and you're like
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
hear it.
Oh, wait, go back.
Right. Like, hold on. Then for me, like I can't get access to like rewind
Yeah.
it or anything.
So
So then
you
it's
just
like,
have
oh,
to
I
keep
missed it.
going.
Yeah, it's over with now. But
Oh,
anyway.
well, that's good. That's a good. I
Yeah.
keep waiting to see Mike the Situations book, but I
Right.
still the audiobook isn't popping up for me on our Libby app.
He needs to. I mean, I haven't checked mine in a bit either, but
I just did, I think last week, and I was surprised that it wasn't there yet because
you know,
I thought
and
that
he
he did
said,
come out with it.
yeah, and he said he was working on the
Audiobook.
audiobook during one of his interviews. So
Yeah.
where is it?
I know because I mean, even so though, um I am on the wait list for it, and that wait list has not moved at all. Like just for the physical book. I mean, it's still set. I placed this hold at the beginning of February, and it's still telling me that it's over 13 weeks to get it.
It's a hot one.
Like that is just crazy.
I know some of them are literally like several months. You're like, oh my goodness, get some more copies in library.
Yeah, no
So
kidding, because that's ridiculous. That's
it
almost 2
is.
months I've been waiting.
I know. Well, sometimes it'll just say several months. Like, what does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah, how many? Like, several could
7, 8?
be a whole year.
I know. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to breeze through a couple of these books because I got the third book
Oh, you
for
finally got
the A Court
it?
of Thorn and Roses.
Wow. You've been waiting for that one.
I am, and that was one that said several months. But I bet it's been several months since I finished the
Yeah.
second one. But I forgot to mention with the Megan Fox interview, she said she started reading that book.
Yeah, she did, because she
I was like,
brought up
she's gonna love
about
it.
the little fairies, and she hasn't gotten to, like, the sexy parts, but
Wait till she gets to the second book.
oh, she will love that book, I
She's
think.
literally gonna love
Yeah.
it. And like those shirts for the Bat Boys keep popping up on the TikTok shop. And
Yeah.
I'm not even looking at them. I flipped past it.
I didn't know what it was. That's for the
It
book?
was for those books. I'm like, what in the world? Why is I'm like, this was not me. They just started popping up.
No, they do, because I didn't know what the heck it even was, so I just kept flipping too, so it wasn't either of us. They're just pushing it hard.
They're like, you looked at Book Talk once last month? We're
Yeah.
getting
We're spamming you with all the merch. I wanted to bring up in pop culture news about the Rebel Wilson thing, speaking of book talk.
I know.
So she's writing her little memoir, and then I think was it just 2 days ago, on Monday, when she posted that on Instagram, and I saw Amanda Hirsch posted it on her story, and then the next day, Rebel was like, or okay, so Monday she said, I won't be silenced, basically. Like, I'm writing about this a-hole in my book, and he wants me to take this stuff out. And the next day, she said, this guy is Sacha Baron Cohen. I'm not like gonna be quieted. I'm gonna tell my story. And I don't know, did you hear about, what the alleged incident was?
I saw the part about the the finger in
Yeah.
the butthole.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I would prefer not to put my finger up a stranger's butthole.
But I also, I mean, just knowing how he is, and especially back in, that time, like I could see it being something that he said. Like I truly
For sure.
can.
I know. I like believe her.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess I didn't read it fully. Was he like saying that he wanted that to be part of the movie, or this was just like a behind the
I
scenes
I
situation?
I was under the impression that he wanted it to be part of the movie, but I don't think that it happened like on a set or anything. But I could be wrong. Because
And like
then
he,
his defense was like, there's plenty of behind the scenes footage of whatever. And okay, well, that doesn't really mean anything, like, so
I know,
you
and
did
like
it when you knew it wasn't being filmed. I like,
right. And it's like, did he like literally wanted her to do that like on
yeah,
camera?
that's
Like or just
disgusting.
pretend? Like I know that's just like it
And
just doesn't
this,
seem like you would actually have to do that.
but even just like suggesting that somebody do that to you for
I know,
comedy
like
is just filthy.
like
And
how would you really do this?
yeah,
No.
like it would be funny. For who? Not for
No.
me.
And it's just so unnecessary to
Yeah,
actually do that. Like just if it needs to be in there, just have it be pretend. Like why?
right. It doesn't need to be real.
No.
Um, I don't know if other people will share my kind of thought behind this, but I felt the first thing that I thought about, because this happened, I don't know what year it was, but it was like, a significant amount of time ago. I would say at least 10 years, wouldn't you? I feel like it would have to be. I don't know when that movie was. I'd never even heard of it. But this was before Rebel had lost all of her weight and like kind of transformed her life. And based on what she was talking about with when she went through her health transformation, she was like, I did this for me, like I want to be healthier. And I felt like this situation fell into the trope of, oh, like we're going to kind of pick on this overweight female comic because it's funny. Like I feel like she was kind of taken advantage of in different ways, and other female comics in her same like kind of situation were also taken advantage of in that like era of cinema and comedy, and it really was unfair.
I know. Or what is that? Like as you were talking, there's this one. I can't even think of what the movie was, but she was in it, and she was like just doing all this like gross out. I wonder what movie that was. Where she was just doing these like weird gross out humor, and I felt like they were just making fun of her. And it
Yeah.
like wasn't a character. I'm gonna see if I can find it real
But that was like the trope of like, oh, well, this overweight girl is like funny, but we can make her do anything because, maybe she doesn't have the same self esteem and she'll just do it. Like
right.
I'm not saying that is necessarily how she felt, that she had low self esteem, but like they projected that onto her.
Right. Was it Bridesmaids where she was like the sister of somebody in this
Yeah,
movie?
but I don't remember like a ton of like disgusting. I remember weird things in that.
Yeah, where it was like, I don't know, whatever movie that was. I'm not sure. I can't spend too much time looking, but it's like whatever
Yeah.
movie that was, it was like, let's just kind of make fun of her. Even in like Pitch Perfect, where she's
Yeah.
like she's, it's like, why does she have to be the one that's like pelvic thrusting?
Yeah.
And I feel like she probably was like her singing wasn't even that bad, but it's like, oh, okay, you can be this crazy bad
Mhm.
singer where everyone's making fun of you.
Yeah.
Why?
Like why didn't we have that to the Anna Kendrick character?
Right.
You
Because
know?
she's conventionally hot.
Yeah.
Like,
I felt, I don't I'm not gonna pretend to know everything about Rebel Wilson, but it just felt like when she talked about like her health journey too, it seemed like a lot of it was just feeling better about herself, coming into her own. Like after she got healthier, then, soon after that, she found love and now she's a mom. Like I
Right.
just felt like she just didn't have just the self-love maybe that she needed, and I don't think that being in the industry during like her younger years was helpful. Like people
Right.
didn't help her with that. They were hindering her.
Right. It's like it's sad that she almost had to like change everything about her appearance to be like taken
Mhm.
more seriously and more
Yeah.
respected,
Right.
which
I
is
think
sad.
though that will be like what her book is about though. I mean, if she's including this anecdote about Sacha Baron Cohen, I think she probably has a lot of other stories similar to that that she wants to like fully put out there, and I don't blame her. Like it's not okay to take advantage of. I like even with like male comics too. We've talked about that with like ones that are heavier and then they lose weight and people are like, "Oh, well, we liked you better before. You're not funny anymore." Like
Right.
what? So you felt like I was funny because I was doing more like self deprecation with my comedy, and you could laugh at me but mask it as laughing with me. And
Right.
now that you don't have that to use anymore, I'm not funny. Like that's so icky.
It is icky. It's terrible.
But I'll be interested to see where that goes with her book because she is not backing down.
I know, which like. I love when
Yeah, good
celebrities
for
can just
her.
like get in there and give us that juicy info.
Mhm.
I know,
I
and
would be
even
interested to read about her life though.
I know because I don't know a ton, and I always find, even though I'm not like a huge like stand up comedy fan, I do find their journeys really interesting, like men
Mhm.
and women, and like I really enjoy listening and reading their books because I just find it really fascinating, and it's such an interesting world to be a part of.
Yeah.
So
It'll definitely be a good one, but we don't have any idea when that's going to be coming out. So we'll just have to
yeah.
wait and see.
Especially if they're having a little bit of problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. What else is on here? Oh,
um,
Ariana got Love Island, the hosting gig,
yeah,
which
I didn't know there was a host. I've never
I didn't
watched
know
that
either.
show.
Me either. Me either.
And is it like a
Um,
one-time host or like one season host or like just from here on out?
well, they said that she's taking over for Sarah Hyland, which didn't know
How
she
long
had
has she
that
been
job.
doing it? Yeah.
I don't
How
know.
long has she been doing it?
I think it said two seasons, but I could be wrong. So I'm guessing they're planning on having her on for more than one, but who knows? And then I was like, wait, didn't we already know this? But that was she came
Bachelor.
on
Yeah.
to like give a date card or something. So yeah, I guess another thing that she got. And I was listening, I mean, we're not going to dive into Vanderpump right now, but this is BPR adjacent. But when so many people were saying or using the excuse of like, "Ugh, I'm just so tired of this, like she's getting all this stuff and just profiting off of this, and let's just like stop talking about her and blah 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 blah. Blah. She's queen of everything." Literally, I think didn't well, I know we've said this to each other, but I can't remember if we said it last week. She has not said anything.
I
Like
know.
she hasn't been talking about it. She hasn't been flaunting that she's getting all these new deals. It's like,
Mhm.
why are we like making her a villain?
I know, and they're doing it with like Katie and Ariana. They're like, they need to shut up about everything already, but they're literally not saying anything outside of the show.
And like with Ariana getting these new gigs, I mean, is that weird? Like she had this big scandal, and then of course she's gonna get offers for stuff.
Right.
Like she's not out there like begging people to give her things. That this is stuff that's being offered to her, and she's taking it because this is her like livelihood.
Right.
I just think like the narrative that people are trying to spin is bizarre.
You know, jealous.
It is, yeah, it clearly is jealousy, I think.
I know.
But
like, just let her live.
Yeah, I can't say I'll be watching Love Island. I've never watched it, and she's not gonna make me watch the show any more than anyone else. So, but I'm sure she'll be great.
Right. And I have heard that show's good, but I don't know. I just never watched it.
Yeah, like I've said before, I just kind of lost interest in The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, and I just feel like this is so similar to those kinds of shows. I just can't get into it anymore.
You know,
even though I just talked about how we just were saying how we're into Love is Blind, but that's an experiment.
I know. Actually, speaking of Love is Blind, I was like, there's a part on because I'm on season 5 now, so I'm almost to the new season. Where did you watch the fifth one?
No.
It's kind of a weird season, but anyway, they like this couple meets, and they're like, he's being all like quiet and stuff and like won't really talk to her, and she's like, what's wrong, like what's going on, and then finally he goes, when we met, you know, like the first meet or whatever, he goes, I don't know, you just had a ton of makeup on, and like and he's like, and like the fake eyelashes and everything, I don't know, it freaked me out, like maybe you're fake. And she's like, I literally haven't had any makeup on for the past 3 days. He's like, yeah, I know, it looks better. She's like, so what is the problem?
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, and then she was like, okay, well, if I go out and I want to wear makeup, like I'm gonna wear makeup. And like this couple, because of like I feel like she was over his communication skills and then blamed it on her makeup or whatever, and they ended up like breaking up. She was like, no, I'm not doing this. But
I would think so.
I know, like, what do you think of that? Like a guy, like, it's like, I get sometimes when you see a girl with like a ton of makeup on and the tight dress and the fake eyelashes, you might think she's like a little bit more high maintenance or something.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, you also have to take the perspective too. It's like she's on TV. Of course, she wants to like
look her best.
Good, yeah. And I'm like, for him to like, you can't go on a show like Love is Blind. Like they're gonna look all these different types of way. Like if you like a plainer girl, then you don't
know what you're getting.
Right. So just stop.
Well, I mean, I guess love was not blind for him. So he just
I just was like, I am not gonna have somebody tell me I can't, that I need to wear makeup or that I don't need to wear it. And he's like, I'm trying to be nice, like, you know, don't wear makeup, or I think you look better without makeup. Any girl would want to hear that. And she's like, I don't care.
I mean, and I do think that that's better than saying put some makeup on,
right?
You know, like, but it's still, I mean, it's not his choice. Like she can, maybe that makes her feel the most confident and good about herself. Like, get out of here. Like, if obviously you're not compatible. Like,
no, not at all.
You know?
I know, it was just so weird. I was like, dude, get out of here.
I do remember back when I listened to the File Files during that season, them talking about some of the Love is Blind stuff. Because this is how you're into it where they're out of the pods and meeting in person. So you're pretty far in. So has that stuff happened where there was like that weird love triangle where somebody knew somebody previously? Okay.
Which is so... I'm curious at how all this is going to play out, because that genuinely, like, kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, the girl, I can't remember. Oh, I think her name was Alea. And then the guy's name was Uche. And then the crazy girl, sorry, I shouldn't call her crazy, but the one that knew him before was Lydia. Okay, so then Lydia meets Melton. But in the meantime, somehow they both had got on the show. And it kind of seemed like she was like I feel like they kind of have two different stories, but it almost seemed like she was trying to get on the show to like be with him. But then I was like, is he just making her out to seem like crazy? But then this Lydia tries to befriend Alea this whole time and doesn't tell her that she dated Uche before.
Knows him outside of the pod.
Yeah, and like had dated him and everything. I was like in a relationship with him. And it's like creepily becomes friends with this girl.
That is weird.
It was so weird. I don't even know what to think of all that. But yeah, and then she this Alea ends up getting really upset about the situation with Lydia, and she's like, I can't believe this. Like, she was my good friend in here, which I thought was kind of like dramatic because they barely knew each other.
Yeah.
But so then she just leaves, doesn't tell Uche, and then the producers are like, we can call her now, do you want to try to talk to her? And then they're like, yeah. And so he's talking to her, he's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Where did you go? You didn't say anything. And then she's like, well, because Lydia upset me. And he's like, are you kidding me? Why are you letting this affect us? And then they end up meeting up again, outside the pods, and he was like, no, we're not doing this. So then I don't know if we're going to see Uche and Alea anymore after this. But
okay.
But it was kind of wild.
When Uche and, is it Lydia that he dated before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they go into each other's pod and realize that they...
Yeah. Well, because they don't tell the viewers that at first until he is honest with Alea. So then it shows the flashback. And I mean, Uche is such a distinct name. And then she's Uche, whatever his last name was, that's a blah. And you're a blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what his job was. And then he's like, yes. Yeah. Do I know you? She's like, are you kidding me? You can't tell by my voice? And he's like, no. And then she's like, Lydia? He's like, what? It's like, okay. And then he's like, okay, so what should we do? And they kind of had a discussion. They're like, no, let's just not pursue this at all.
Yeah.
Go do our own thing.
Move on. So he was fully shocked.
Yeah, he's like, no. I was like, wait, what? I loved how they added that later. I know, it was wild. And I'm curious to see how this season's going to end with all that. And I'm sure they're going to have him on the reunion part of it.
Yeah.
About that. So
I can't remember. I listened to all those episodes, but I didn't know what was really happening. Yeah, so I don't have any idea what even happened.
I know, it's interesting.
Wow, that's crazy. But that's what we said. I suppose it could happen because
you're in the same
they're
city.
picking people. Yeah,
I know. So it totally could happen. And I wonder if I really believe Uche didn't know, but I wonder if Lydia said something to producers, or if the producers would even know.
Right.
But I'm so skeptical.
Do they say all their dating history? And,
right.
Why I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's weird. It's interesting. It is. Did you see the thing that Kyle Richards posted earlier today? Of that there was a Variety article about Beverly Hills, which we never talked about the last episode of the reunion, but I think we were
I didn't even end up
pretty
finishing.
over it.
I know, I'm like, I don't even think I ended up finishing it because it was. I feel like it was after Sutton fainted. I'm like,
Yeah, it was. Well, the Variety article said the headline is Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 13 on track to achieve franchise's best 35-day viewership since 2014. And not just Beverly Hills, but all of Housewives.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just like,
what?
And I think it averaged the first, I can't remember how many episodes that there were, but the first 17, I think it was, averaged 4 million viewers. And then there's the last 4 that haven't come into that 35-day mark yet. But if they keep about the same, then the whole thing will be an average of 4 million, including streaming on Peacock. But my thoughts is that the reason why this got so much viewership is because people were waiting all season to see stuff about Kyle and Morgan Wade. And then they built that up all season long. Even before the season started, they were building that up with that storyline. Yes. And then they continued to do so throughout. We barely got anything from it. And then even when the last episode of the reunion, I don't think you would have gotten to the part where they even talked about the Morgan Wade stuff. But I mean, there wasn't any clarity there. And now that I watched that episode and Kyle, Kathy comes out and is don't be embarrassed, you're supported, whatever. And Kyle's just well, I don't have anything to be embarrassed about, but there's not really much to tell. I really love her and care for her. So she basically said, I'm never gonna say never about dating her, not dating her, but I'm not right now. But we care for each other a lot and are huge parts of each other's lives. So to me, the whole thing, whether this was a calculated thing or just something that was already happening, and then the Bravo was okay, let this be the headline of this whole season. That is what drove the numbers, because they kept people thinking that we're going to see more about this, and we really didn't.
Right, and to see this woman who, this housewife royalty couple, and then they're split up, and then the woman might be dating another woman. It's so not scandalous, but I mean, everybody was super interested in finding out what happened, and we didn't get any of that, and so I feel duped.
Yeah, I do too. It's just a letdown, because really this season, we talked about it in our episodes, it did start out decent and we were interested and engaged, but as it went on, it just was a slow decline of our interest level, and it just got to be, we're talking about the same thing over and over and over, and it just there wasn't anything super entertaining.
No. And that whole situation, the Morgan thing, and Bravo doing it, and Kyle playing into it so much, it does feel a little queer baity, and
yeah,
even if she's not comfortable, if there is something actually going on and she's just not comfortable to come out with it yet, it still is you're just playing this game, and it almost makes me feel it's just all of it was just fake for views and trying to compete with Scandal, and it this did not work.
Yeah, because that's the way I'm feeling too with Summer House, because I'm watching that and we're seeing the meltdown of Lindsay and what's his name? Not Kyle. I don't know why, Carl's relationship just completely implode. But there were moments in this season so far where Lindsay straight up said to Carl, "You're acting like Sandoval. You sound like Sandoval." And it's like, why are we using this?
Right.
It felt like, okay, everything that happened post Scandival has to have some type of big blow up similar to that.
Right.
And in my opinion, not every Housewives season or other reality show needs to have something as earth shattering as that. There's plenty of other ways for there to be entertainment.
Right. And it's not like we were begging for Scandival to happen, even though people like to
No.
say that Vanderpump and blah, 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 blah. It's like, it just happened. Like, you can't, like, that stuff just has to happen organically and stop trying
Yeah.
to force these, like, bizarre storylines. And, like, these people don't even feel genuine. They're just, like, being over the top and, like,
Right.
nonsense.
I know. So I guess, but yeah, I mean, that was literally all that there was from that third part of the reunion was Sutton having her little pass out moment or whatever the heck happened. And then they never came back. So the rest, yeah, they didn't come back, her and Garcelle. So that was kind of weird too. Like they just filmed the rest of it without them when the two of them were kind of like integral parts to a lot of the stories that were being talked about. But
I feel like they were all just like, you know what, let's just cut the season.
How can we get out of here?
Yeah. Over it. Bad season.
So whatever, but yeah, we'll see what happens next. I feel like a lot of crazy stuff is happening in the Housewives world, and I don't watch a lot of these other, cities, but it seems like there's a lot going on with the Potomac women, and some people aren't coming back to Atlanta. And then, there's all the talk about what's happening with the Roni cast. Like, there's just a lot of uncertainty almost.
And everyone's suing each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's weird.
I just feel like Hollywood and reality show, everything's just imploding right now.
Yeah. It's just a freaking
what are we
disaster.
Gonna be left with? I know, it's like, what are we going to be left with? What are we going to watch?
All our memories are being destroyed. All of our future of just mind-numbing reality TV are slowly getting disheveled. Stop taking it away from us.
We can't have anything. Everybody's just going to be reading now.
Oh God, don't even talk about it.
We're just all going to be sitting around reading books. We're going to go back to the
We can't go back.
We're going to have Saturday brunch book club because we have no other drama. We have to have fictional drama. And if you leave this part in, we're talking about if we're going to another Fallout Boy concert. It's Friday and it's Wednesday and
we can't. We bought these tickets in August, and now we're just not sure.
And it's even too, and I think it's an indoor, right? It's
the shot is.
If it would have even been it's going to be a really nice weekend, I feel like I'd be yeah, let's just go, have the windows down, and let's go.
Two girls on a road trip.
I know, and just kind of relaxing, but then it's also too much work.
I know. Well, let's see how we feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if we're feeling adventurous.
I know, if we're you know what, let's just go. But okay.
If we're at war with ourselves.
I know. Just sucks when it's I don't know.
I just wish that things were closer.
I know. If it was an hour away, it'd be let's just go.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be 2.5.
I know, that's far. I know. What were we thinking? We should have done the Detroit one. I don't know what the heck
I
we
know.
were
It was in
thinking.
Ann Arbor or Detroit.
Well, both of them aren't as far.
No, and it was like, but it was like a Wednesday.
It was in the middle of the,
Yeah, and which is what we did last time. But we're like, but I was worried about a babysitter situation.
And that was a pain. We were freaking tired.
I know. I was like telling my coworker, I'm like, yeah, it's at the fall of concert, like vocal fry. Like, where was it? All the way down at the Blossom. Like, oh.
I got home so late.
I know, it was so late.
I know. Oh, we'll see. Okay. All right. Let's dive into Vanderpump. Unless, do you have any other timely topics before we close it out?
No.
All right. Let's dig in.
It's kind of a mess.
Much like the last episode.
This one I was like, I don't know. I feel like I kept getting like whiplash. And then it was like it would move on from something and I like wasn't processing what I just found out. And it would kept moving on and like just thinking about it later, I'm like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like what's going on? And then so much of I saw so many clips from the after show, like right after I watched it, which I'm not sure. I think people are going to the website to see it immediately because it's not on Peacock immediately. But then I got confused of like, wait, was this from the episode of the after show? What was talked about when? Like, I was really confused last night. I don't know why. But it kind of started out with a cute little moment between James and Allie of James picking out clothes for her. And it made me wonder, would you let your husband pick clothes for you?
No. I don't even like when he picks clothes for the kids. It did feel very Kanye West.
Yeah.
He is white Kanye.
White Kanye. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah, I don't think many wives or girlfriends would want their boyfriends or husbands to pick out their clothes.
I mean, I guess I'd be like curious to see what he would pick out from my closet.
Yeah.
And
would it be your style even?
Right. Even though it's my stuff. And I like being my own Barbie, so
right.
I don't want to be somebody else's.
I think that James has overall good style and taste, though, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I would trust him a little bit more. But I mean, not every guy can do that.
No.
Allie drops that she invited Joe to come to James's DJ gig, so you kind of could see where all that was going. And then this was kind of like a general comment just about conversations that some of Sandoval's friends have with him or about him. But it just seems to me that so many, like Billy Lee and some of the other friends, are just so like blasé about like Tom and Ariana living together. Like there was one scene with Billy Lee and she's like, well, can't you just go knock on her door? No, they said that they wanted a no contact situation. Like, can you not respect that? Like, why is that so hard to understand?
I know. I feel like just that whole, I feel like everybody's just not getting it. And I don't really understand why. It's like, no, they're in a sticky situation where they can't just move out of this house. Like they're not trying to be friends. They're not trying to.
Yeah. Like they're not trying to like mend the fence and
like they're both literally stuck there for now.
And I don't know if it's we're just trying to say things to get on to be on the show and stuff, or if that's how they're really feeling, or if they're just trying to fuel Tom Sandoval's delusions. But it's just kind of, I mean, it's nothing new, but it's just so annoying. Like, do you guys have no respect for other people's wishes?
Right.
Like, that's what it seems like. They just
Yeah.
don't care.
No.
The Anne conversation with Ariana was kind of cute, though, when she FaceTimed her and was getting ready for Taylor Swift. And poor little Anne. I mean, she just, I don't know how she got stuck with Tom Sandoval.
Well, she
Like,
probably learned that job when he wasn't.
the most hated man in America.
on the level of Scott Peterson, allegedly.
Alleged, yeah. Lala and Schwartz go to a little juice place, and basically, okay, this is where the Sheena thing came out, but before that, I could not believe that Lala asked Schwartz, "Have you even ever had sober sex?" Like, I was like, first of all, I find that extremely offensive considering he was married for a long time.
Right.
Like, is that supposed to be a dig at Katie?
I know. Or like, it's just not a nice dig, even if it wasn't supposed to be at Katie, if it was supposed to be at Tom. It's like, and what did, it's just not, it's she's the sober police.
She just, it's that I think would be a fair question to ask if your friend was, first of all, commenting on it, which he was. They were talking about how it's different or whatever. But if he was actually an addict and he hadn't really been in long-term committed relationship, well, committed, we'll use that loosely for him. But you know, I just think when he isn't an addict to our knowledge, and he has been in monogamous relationships, he was married, like, that's just so rude.
It is rude.
It's just a bizarre thing to say.
I know. It's like, well, I kind of want to turn around and ask you that, Lala.
Right? Because, well, I won't even say what I was about to say because it was mean. So I'm going to keep that one inside. See how I used self-control? Lala, take note. That's how you do it.
Not to say everything that comes to your head, Lala.
Right. I kept that one inside so no one heard it and it didn't come back to bite me. So the Sheena thing. What did you think about this? The Sheena makeout / kiss.
I have I don't know. Like, part of me is kind of like, I don't know if I believe Sheena's version of the story when she tells this bizarro story about what happened. I'm like, I don't know if that's real. And then it was like, obviously, it happened a long time ago. So that's kind of like a weird situation too. But also, it is kind of like a big deal that just came out of nowhere. I don't know what to think of it. I don't even know. I'm like, what is happening? But I do feel like when they teased it and then they took away the teasing of it was really strange. And it is kind of like, and it's like, obviously, Katie, it's like, what's the point of being mad about it now since you're not even with Tom anymore? But it is still just like, why?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, where it would be kind of just like, what the heck, like, what? At the same time, I felt like they were acting like that happened like 4 years ago, and it didn't. It happened like a really long time ago when.
Well, and then it's like, but also I'm kind of questioning, when did it happen? Like, I felt like it was like, oh, they had the same story about it was in Vegas and a cheerleading competition or something. And I'm like, are they even being like truthful about it? Like, it's like we just never know.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. You don't know with any of them really.
Right.
I could definitely see Sheena's perspective from it though. Like, why would she give Katie another reason to hate her? Like that would have just exploded in her face. Like there is zero way that it would have gone well. And in the after show, Katie said, or Ariana was like, if you would have known that, do you think you would have stayed with Schwartz? And she said, no, I think I would have broken up with him, which I don't believe. I think it's easy to say that now, but I just don't believe that she would have. Maybe she would have broken up with him for a minute, but I feel like they would have gotten back together just because there were many infidelities in their relationship and she stayed for all of them. But I just felt the thing that kind of annoyed me, I was just like, who cares for this to be the main storyline of this whole episode? Like that's what I just felt like it got dragged on the whole time.
It was I don't know. Literally, it was such like a, okay, we're gonna put this out here, but now we're gonna completely downplay it and get everyone frazzled up about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I literally even know what to think of this.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know how I would feel if I was Katie in that situation. I'm sure that I would be still kind of hurt. Like you would feel conflicted too, because you'd be like, "This doesn't matter. We're not together anymore. It was long ago, but it still would sting."
Yeah, I
So
definitely think it would like hurt even now to be like, it would be shocking to be like, oh, you guys like kid. Like, I guess just thinking about it, like it would be something weird to hear now,
yeah,
even if it doesn't matter now. It still would be
yeah,
like, wait a minute, what? Or what's going on now? Why are, and then even just the way like, even just it's just all weird. Like last season when Sheena was trying to like get Schwartz to date Rachel and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't think she has feelings for Schwartz or anything like that. But it was like, so you made out with them and
yeah.
now
That definitely
like,
adds
it's
another
just all
layer.
weird. It's just weird.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
yeah. I can say that I can in some way relate where you have a situation like that and you're like, oh my God, like this never happened. Like I'm just not even talking about it. We're going to agree that it never happened. We're not going to tell anybody about it or our significant other, whatever. Like that. I've been in that situation before. So it's not necessarily like a great situation, but I don't know. I just felt for that to be such a big thing in the episode just felt like I don't know. It just felt really weird to me. I think it was also the way it happened, where like Lala was told about it first. I'm like,
Well, and I did think it was,
why?
I know it was weird too, the way Lala's like, I'm going to tell Katie first because I don't want Sheena to like be able to lie
E-
about it,
Even
which
though
was
that's
kind of weird.
apparently her like best friend ever.
I know. I thought that was a really weird, like, thing to say too. I was like,
So
I
you don't trust
don't know. It
Sheena?
was just so strange. Right. It was such a strange thing.
Yeah, yeah. So then we kind of Lala tells Katie we just talked about. Then we go to James's DJ dig, and uh, I just whatever. Like I thought it was weird, but not atypical that Shorts like commented on I think Sheena's outfit and be like, "Oh, you got dressed up." Literally every other person was dressed up except for Schwartz and Joe. So like that's the way it always is. I don't know why you felt the need to point that out, but and then the hat thing comes into play. which was also just annoying and stupid.
Yeah, that was the whole thing was like weird too. And it was like I don't like Joe, but it was so strange the way they were like ripping her hat off and she was like fighting for it back, like
I
fighting for the life
know.
of the hat back on. I was like, what is going on? It was like a three-ring circus.
Yeah, it felt like we missed something before that. Like it
Right,
just, we came into the scene like halfway through where
right.
all of a sudden we're in
Everyone's
this,
ripping her hat off.
yeah, we're in like this tug of war for a hat. It was weird.
Right,
And I did think that Joe's hair looked cute with the braids. Like, I thought it looked cute. I mean,
right,
if she didn't like it, whatever, but her hair definitely didn't look bad.
right. It was so weird.
I have to say though, like I am getting kind of sick and tired of the the baseball hats. Like Lala wearing one when she was out to lunch with Schwartz. Then Sandoval comes in with one that doesn't even match his outfit at all to this party. And then Joe has one on. And then Schwartz has one on. I'm like, stop. Like I'm tired of seeing them.
Yeah, like dirty hair.
Yeah, I don't know why it's irking me. When I see it with like Lala had a cute outfit on to go meet Schwartz at that juice shop. And then she had a random hat on. Like it didn't even match. Like that just really annoyed me for some
Maybe,
reason.
maybe they're all using retinol. Acting their faces.
That's the only excuse. So basically, that just spiraled into this whole Joe saga. And I just, like, I don't really care about the Joe storyline either. I
I
just
know.
don't.
I'm like so like it's weird that we found out so much about this season, but also nothing. Like I had no idea she was gonna be like repeatedly coming
Mm,
on.
me either. And like you said last week, she's getting a confessional and everything.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah, it does seem like they're trying to fully bring her into the fold. And I don't really know why. Like, I don't think we need her.
No.
So, and I did agree that like Katie has been pretty harsh to Joe with
Yeah.
just her comments, her constant comments, not only on the show but also just in social media. Like that's mean. Like it's just
Right.
unnecessary. But I also was like, if you don't want to be around these people and put yourself in this situation, then don't go to these events.
Right.
Like you
I know,
don't
like
have to
I
be
know
around these people.
I know, like I'm not like it was uncomfortable to watch them kind of like be so obviously mean to her and stuff, but then it was like there's clearly a lot more history that we don't know about, especially with like them all still hanging around Kristen. So then I'm kind of like I don't
Yeah,
really know how to feel about it because I don't know all that.
everything. Well, and then they said, and I can't remember if this was on the episode or the after show, but they said that when they did the Big Bear trip, like Joe was with Schwartz and Sandoval and Rachel. And
Right.
so she knew about the whole
Right.
affair, but was still, texting everybody like, oh, I love you guys or whatever. And then when the affair broke, when Ariana found out about it, Kristen said in the after show that she sent a group message to Ariana, Tom Sandoval, and Rachel saying, like, oh, I just don't know what to do. Like, I just love all you guys. And this is just so crazy. Like, who does that?
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, I can see why they're just like not it. Like,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
And in the after show, too, Kristen said, the only thing I feel bad about regarding Joe is the fact that Schwartz is basically not acknowledging any type of relationship that they
I
had beyond
know.
friendship. I mean, I do feel bad for her for that. Like, that is a horrible feeling.
Right. It is.
And you can tell that she does like him.
Right.
So, and he's just like shutting her down every chance he gets, like telling every other public person that he doesn't like her like that. Ouch.
I know.
But yeah, like I said to you while we were watching, like I know I should probably feel more sympathetic towards her in certain aspects, but I just don't, you know?
Right. It's like I don't want to see somebody getting like, because everybody's been in that situation where it's like a big group of girls are like not being nice to you
Yeah.
and like, talking about you. Like it sucks, but then it's like, but you're also doing things that are a little like insane.
Right. And then putting yourself in a position where you're going to be around all these people knowing that they don't care for you.
Right.
Like, who does that? That's weird.
I know, like, I don't do that at my age. Like,
No, heck no. I'm staying away.
Yep.
Katie then confronts Sheena. We kind of already went over that. I don't feel like we need to go through that all again and drag it out longer. We skipped ahead past the rest of the DJ set and we go to a boys' lunch plus Lala. And when, I don't know if you like noticed this, but when Sandoval walked into the lunch, he was carrying like a large man purse. And I literally like recoiled. I was like, oh my God. Like just seeing
carry cigarettes. Like,
I don't know. Just seeing him walk in with it, like just made me cringe so hard. Like it was so hard to look at. Anyway, so they're at this lunch and just they're talking about all these things that Sandoval is going to do to try to better himself. And this is where he talks about this breath work thing. And Lala's like, oh, I'm glad that you're trying to, improve your whatever. And I was just sitting there listening to this and I was getting so annoyed because he is saying everything in the book except being like, yeah, I'm going to go to therapy and I'm really going to talk about this with somebody and work through. And James even said, like, therapy. Right. And it's like, he's so reluctant to do it because I don't think he wants to face the reality of the situation.
No, definitely not.
He wants to continue to live in this delusion.
Yep.
He invites Lala to watch him and participate in the breathwork thing, and she says no, but I'll come to support you. And this was a hard few minutes of television. I'll say that right now.
Like, I hate all men but Sandoval.
I just don't understand this.
I know. It's like you're gonna have this. It makes no sense, and they've never even hardly liked each other before. But now, after he did one of the most heinous, like a really terrible thing, said terrible things to her that you were so appalled by at the reunion, and now you're just, I'll be friends with Sandoval. Yeah, it's like, what?
I'm willing to look past it.
It's like, were you just faking those? Like, I just have no words.
I don't either. I mean, it was bad enough that we had to start that segment of seeing Tom Sandoval scream and moan gutturally. Like, that was so horrid. But then we had to follow that up with this heart-to-heart on the back patio between Lala and Sandoval, where she is basically saying, like, oh, yeah, I'm willing to explore a friendship with you.
I never have before, but now that you did what you did, I want to.
And she's literally said multiple times, I never liked him. I never liked him. So why now?
And not to mention, Right, and it's like he said horrible things about her.
her. It makes no sense. Like, it is absolutely
I
ludicrous.
cannot figure her out, and even, like, a couple days ago, she's just running her mouth.
About everybody, basically.
Literally, like, what are you I don't get her thought
Like,
process.
is she just trying to burn bridges here, or like what's going on? So I will say in the after show, she then said, well, I wasn't, I was just basically saying that um, I can coexist with you, but I'm not looking for a friendship. Okay, that is
That's not
not
what you
what
said
was
at
said
all.
at all.
No.
Yeah, at all. Okay, so then we go forward to another sandwich tasting, which Lala was again mean about. So she's throwing more shade,
Yep.
which I know this is their second sandwich tasting. We all know that this place still isn't open. I think it's probably really hard for Katie and Ariana to even see these scenes because they thought they would be way further ahead than they are. But then to have Lala talking about it in rude ways in the confessionals, it's just so unnecessary. Like, how are you saying that you're their friend and supporter?
I know, and it's like clearly this was like a setup thing for the show. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, why are you making it like it isn't that?
Yeah, like it's like on one hand, we're making it clear that things are for the show, but then on the other hand, we have to make these backhanded comments as if, this was all 100% real when we know that part is not.
Right.
Um, we move forward, they like meet with Lisa and Ken, and then Lala and Ariana. And I can't remember the other person at the table. Was it Sheena or Katie? It doesn't really matter, I guess. Whoever was there. Lala, again, is trying to come to Ariana and say, like, hey, I had this great conversation with Sandoval, as if this is going to suddenly just change Ariana's mind. And she'll be like, you did? Oh, well, that's great. I'm going to now have a conversation with him. Like, that is not happening. Why do you keep coming to her with this stuff?
And why? Okay, I would have been like, okay, well, you never had great conversations with them before all this happened, and now suddenly you
Yeah,
are.
right. Like, it is so, it's just so disrespectful to her. It's like, you're not her friend if you're coming to her with this. She comes back, Ariana comes back and details how he was negligent to Maya and how she had to bring her to the vet to have her stomach pumped. And honestly, like, that doesn't surprise me from Tom. I feel like he would be a negligent pet owner.
Of
Um,
course.
and just like wouldn't think about that kind of stuff, like that's so whatever. And then that Lala was kind of like, oh, that's horrible. It's like, well, did that make you change your mind about what you just told her? How you're going to be
Right.
friends with this person
Like,
now?
oh. Yeah, and it's like just thinking, I know like Lala didn't know that ahead of time, but it's like I just had to deal with this whole thing, and now you're telling me I had a good conversation with this doopy head.
Yeah, it was so stupid. They then kind of have like I guess, after party kind of where they're all just like getting drinks after this sandwich tasting, and Katie and Schwartz kind of have a little thing, and it's Schwartz is immature and stunted mentally by his like Peter Pan syndrome. Same old, same old, same old. We know this. Um, I wanted to say too, when he talked about the random dates that people are bringing in, and this T girl, how she goes on a bowling date with
Yeah.
Sandoval. When they said that they went on a bowling date and Sandoval's like, yeah, I dressed on theme again, I was just like, oh my God. Can you imagine if you were showing up for a first date with somebody and they were dressed the way he was on theme with the bowling alley?
I just can't.
Like, I
And
would turn
this is the
around.
thing. He gave up one of the only women that would have put up with his nonsense.
I
Like, I don't care
know.
if he's dating all these young girls. Like, it's not gonna last. It's like you gave up the person who thought you were cool.
And we don't know how she did for so long, but somehow she did.
I even thought he was cool. It's so embarrassing
Yeah.
to say it.
But even, I mean, not to go down this road again, but the other person who thought he was cool was Rachel. And they handled that the complete wrong way. Like, I am happy for her that she left that relationship, but I still feel like after all that, why didn't you guys just try to be together? Like, you went through all of this.
Well, I was seeing, and then maybe this is being insensitive, but she's, always like, I went to treatment. And I just find it honestly kind of like, I don't even know what the word is. You go and you like have this affair with somebody and then you check yourself into treatment. Don't deal with any of the consequences. Cut everyone off. It's like
Yeah.
it's just so into like I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I can't even like what'd you go to treatment therapy for? Well,
Oh.
I don't know, like is that do you need treatment? Is that the solution if you're having an affair with somebody's partner is to go like that's the I don't even know.
I agree with you.
It's wild.
Yeah, it
And
is.
now you have a podcast about it.
Where that's all
You're
you
suing
talk
them.
about.
I know, and on top of that, you're trying to sue them.
But it was so traumatic for you
And
that you had to go to
too.
treatment in the first place.
Yeah, and Ariana also knows about it.
Like it's completely, I don't know. She's on another planet. I don't know what treatment center she went to because, I mean, I'd love to go there and have my delusional thoughts reinforced.
Literally. And it's like, yeah, why didn't they just I think they could have had a pretty happy life together.
Yeah, I honestly
They're
think
never gonna be happy. Neither one of them are gonna be happy again.
no. I mean, I think they should have just tried. Why not?
No, why not? You like cut him off because he groomed you.
Allegedly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, whatever. We've talked enough about her. What did you think about Brock then towards the end of this episode?
Okay, first of all, if I would have been the psycho friend that was trying to nose in on something and stalk somebody else and figure out if they were hooking up or not, and then my husband went and told everybody what I did, are you freaking kidding me? He would have been dead. He would have been dead, stabbed. No one would have heard from him again. Like, how dare you?
He exposed you.
What I did. Yeah. How dare you tell him what a psychopath I am? Like, can you imagine? That's humiliating. Done. I couldn't believe it. Done. Yeah, and Sheena's hooked up with Max.
I know.
And now so then you look even crazier.
Yeah.
Still tracking him.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh my gosh, I'm just like.
I completely agree because people are like, Sheena is so crazy. I don't even think what she did was that. Like, no, people do that.
I know. Yeah. Like, that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
If I was suspicious, if two of my friends were like, I wonder if they're hooking up. Oh, they're at the house together.
Yes.
And then somebody exposes you for that.
Oh, that's the worst because he crossed a line. Like, I can't believe.
Well, how do you know he went with Max? Well, because I that my friend finder. Saw he was at her apartment.
And I looked once and I thought it was weird. And then I looked again. And then I looked again the next morning.
It was 4:30 a.m. He was still there. And it's like, even when Katie like found out, like whatever. But it's like when Katie found out that they like, how do you know he was back at my house? It's like, well, I looked. And she's like,
wait, what?
like, it was so.
She was in disbelief.
Yeah, and she's like, huh? Oh my gosh. And this was like, bad Brock, bad husband.
I mean, he should definitely be disciplined for that one. I mean, that
That
was
big time.
you
First of all,
betrayed your wife.
Literally. And it's like, obviously he was like instigating, but that, what he did to Sheena in that moment, not to make it about Sheena.
Yeah, but it was.
The ultimate betrayal. You can't tell him nothing.
No.
Ever again.
I did feel bad for Sheena though, because then at first, like, she was pissed at the bar.
I made her look like a lunatic.
I know. And then when they came back to the circle and she's just sitting there like, I'm not even getting into this. Like, she had to just been humiliated.
I know. I would have had to leave.
I would have been like, we're leaving.
Too much. It's literally like that moment where you just know.
Yeah.
Not doing
How do I get out of this? I
There's
can't.
It's like you have no words.
Because I don't think that it's weird that she has these people on Find My Friends. Some people have that. Some people do that. Like, that's not weird.
I know. And like, right. And it's like on first here, you're like, that is so nosy and psycho. But like I never thought to do that.
Yeah. I mean, remember when...
Can you imagine if we had that in high school?
Oh.
Tracking all our classmates. Like,
we would have been talking about that nonstop.
Literally.
And we would have been the psychos.
House. Yeah. Like, I would have totally been looking
Who's hooking up with who? Why are you over there on a Friday night? Yeah.
Right.
Where'd they go after the football game? Like, yeah, we would have been all over that.
I know. It's like, it sounds bad, but the way people do way worse to find out information.
I know. And I mean, you're willingly giving them your location.
Right. That's on Max.
You had to agree to that. If he didn't want to know, people to know, he should have. But the other thing on the after show where Katie was again like trying to make it seem like Sheena's just a freaking psychopath is when she's like, well, who asks if you like make sure you let me know if you get home safe. And Ariana was even like, who's worried about Max getting home? It's not like he was walking. I don't know, maybe this is just like a Midwest thing, but like I say that to everybody. Or just like, hey, let me know when you get home.
Right. Especially if I invite them. Right. Especially if I invite them to go do something because I don't want the guilt. Yeah. It's like, I'll make you come up here.
Right.
That happened to you.
We do that with each other all the time. Like, and then then Katie was like, well, I didn't get one of those texts. She never asked me. And then did you see, I think she put it on her Instagram where Sheena screenshotted the texts from that night. And she said like, oh, I'm just leaving. And then she said, let me know when you get home. And then Katie said like, I will, or I'm home, or, whatever. So she did say, hey, like this isn't a weird thing that she just did with Max because she's so obsessed with him. Right. And also, and now we just sound like complete lunatics, but also like if you saw those two kind of being flirtatious and you even were like, oh, I wonder if they're going to go home together. Like, wouldn't you?
Right. It's like who's being nosy. I don't think that was like that wild. Like, I just don't. I just think it's more wild that Brock told everyone that was what happened.
It is the ultimate betrayal. And it's like he didn't even realize. And then he just like, kept digging the hole.
I know, it's like, no, like, they were together at her house. It's like
he could have just stopped at like
they were flirting.
We saw them leave together. They were flirting, and then he like texts Sheena something that made us think that they hooked up. That could have been it. And it would have been, you didn't have to say anything else.
I know. Bad.
And he's
Rob.
there with this like plate of food, and Sheena's just like cowering.
I know.
I
I don't know how. Like, I just couldn't come back from that one. I'd never.
I would have had to leave.
You wouldn't see me on Vanderpump Rules ever
Ever
again.
again.
No podcast, nothing. I just go away for life.
Oh. Did you, just speaking of the Katie Max hookup though, I think that it was kind of like maybe a little dig at Schwartz, a little bit of revenge there, but I don't think it was really like a full on double standard.
No, I felt like it was very, I don't know, they just all pass each other around, and it just felt like reminiscent to that. I don't know. I mean, I don't think, it's not like Katie was like trying to brag about it. So
no, she probably wouldn't have said anything.
I know, until it was exposed.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can see where, it could be taken as like, you knew that would probably upset Schwartz a little bit or whatever. He would have some type of feeling about it, and you still did it. But it's not the same as when she, asked him when they were still going through their divorce to not hook up with anybody fully in the friend group. Because now they're fully divorced. They're moved out of the house. It's a different time.
Right. And
in my opinion.
And Max isn't what I would consider someone to be of a good, like a quality, morally good person anyway. So I feel like he should be mad at Max as well if they're really that close. But I don't know.
Schwartz didn't seem to even care that much.
I know.
But did you notice that what was that one girl's name that was the babysitter? And then Tori. Yeah, she was there. So they're planting that seed.
I know. We got the paid actor love interest.
How much do you think they get paid per episode? Because
I don't know. Especially
it might be worth a flight out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that was pretty much the episode. It definitely ended on a high with that bombshell from Brock, but
and the part where Sandoval like comes over to Ariana and is like,
"Oh yeah,
see if you got that email," and she literally was like, "That is hate."
I know.
Like, I know, I was like thinking, I'm like, I've been there, man, where you just can't even freaking look at the person. Like, you can't even breathe near them. Their face, their embodiment just is so disgusting to you. And I'm like, just like, ugh, I could feel it.
Like, good for you, girl. Don't even give him your gaze.
Literally, she was freaking, when we saw that jawline, it was so... And then Lala's like,
I know. Her and Katie were funny. Just they're like, what do we do? What do we say?
Totally. It was
turned away.
Just completely turned away, and he's like, ugh. So, like, really, you needed to walk up to her during filming and be like, did you get the email?
Like, obviously she got the email.
It was that side profile was just so funny. It
was so funny. Oh, Ariana. Oh, the other thing that was funny too was when they were doing the sandwich tasting thing, and Schwartz said, you guys need like a hangover sandwich.
Yeah.
And then James is like, well, we all know Schwartz likes a sloppy Joe.
Everyone was like,
the editing of that was so funny.
Everyone's eyes bulging out of their head.
And then everybody just starts laughing. And then James is like dying at his own joke. Like that was
funny. It was almost like crossing the line, but it was It's good.
It was just the timing was right, so it worked.
Right. It did.
Did you watch The Valley?
I did.
I just wanted to say like two short things because I watched it pretty much in background, and I don't really think we need to
I
like
know.
recap this show all the time, but
I know. I had it on just like on while I was doing stuff.
yeah. Um, First of all, I want to say that I really just enjoy seeing Jax and Kristen talking, just like the good old days. And then they are fully on the after show. Like Brittany, Kristen, and Jax are intertwined with the VPR after show. And I just feel if we're going to do that, why can't they just be back on VPR? Like, this is silly.
I know. I find like some of the because like Max from season 8 is who everybody's talking about, and it's like okay, so we can bring him up, but he was fired for some like racist tweets. Brett was fired for the racist tweets. Then Danica didn't come back, and then Stassi, Jax, and Kristen were all like Kristen and Stassi were fired for like a racist situation too. It's like how come we're like cherry picking who can come back and like who can't, and it's like if you're gonna give them their own show after they were like fired, it just
Well,
was
it's like, oh, well, X amount of time has passed. Yeah, it's like, well, it's fine now. I mean, is it like a?
I know it's just kind of like a weird thing. It's like, well, if you gave them their own show before you put them back on the show they were fired from. I don't know. It's just kind of like a weird move. I don't know. It's just
I agree, and I thought that whole situation with Stassi and Kristen was pretty. I mean, it wasn't a good look at all, but it also was just like an unfortunate situation that got them to be fired. So it's like I don't think that they're just like horrific to the core racist people. But you're right. It's like why are we offering Kristen her own show now? And Jax had his whole other stuff that got him to not be brought back on the show. Like, why are we bringing him back now? And then they're doing cameos on VPR and they're sitting in fully on the after show. Like, it's just weird.
I know. It's like, it's whatever they want to do is fine, obviously, but it was just kind of like I don't know. It was just such a weird, strange move, I thought.
For me, when you first said that to me, when we were watching the episode, I thought too of like the everything with Ramona, just speaking of like Bravo
that's
in general.
what I was talking about too. I'm like, he's not allowed to. I guess I was just talking in general, but I thought of that situation too. I'm like, so she said, what she did.
Hers was probably the worst.
Right. Not cool. I mean, I never really saw like Max and Brett's tweets or whatever.
Yeah.
That was arguably pretty bad, but she's not allowed to go to BravoCon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like even Brandy has said some like racially insensitive things, and you're like, let these people come back on. And I know it's like, where's the line?
Right. If we keep moving it.
Yeah, it's like, well, if it's been a couple of years, they could come back. We can have them again, and it's like,
well, yeah, because it makes you wonder with Ramona. It's like, if they do an Ultimate Girls trip in a couple of years, are they going to let her come back? Or if they, redo Roni in a couple of years, can she come back? Like that's what. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
So
it's just so weird. I don't know what the answer is, but
me either. But I do enjoy, to bring it back to the Valley, their dynamic is good. I mean, there's a reason why they were on reality TV and why they made an impact. And Kristen does irk me sometimes, but like seeing her with Jax again, I'm like, this is like the good old days,
Yeah, It is a good. I just think it makes such a better show when the people actually have real relationships with each other.
Yes.
And it does feel like this show, they have that, and it feels like we're coming into, like, their real lives where they would actually be having, like, a birthday party for this person, even if it is kind of produced, but it's like,
Right.
that feels genuine, like, yeah, you would be throwing a party for her. Yeah, all these girls do have a relationship with each
Yeah.
other, and, that is, I do think that especially with, like, some of these housewives, it's like, we could tell they don't like each other,
Yeah, they're
and
just
this
thrown
group.
together.
Right, and, like, this group seems like they genuinely, they're fighting and stuff, but they have relationships with each other where they're friends and stuff, and it is, like, so much better to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it is enjoyable, honestly. Like, I'm entertained. It
Mhm.
is bringing me in, and that is interesting because I don't know a lot of the cast. So
Right,
that's kind of surprising. But just like you said, since they do have genuine relationships with each other, like it makes it more engaging and real.
right.
The other point I wanted to make was that Jesse and Michelle couple that have the one daughter, and they're the ones that live by the Chateau Marmont.
Mhm.
And they've announced now that they are separated. And now watching this, I'm like, they hate each other. Like, they do not like each other. And I think that it was made clear to each of them when they had their daughter that, like, we are not on the same page.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost like hard to watch a little bit, and then knowing
I
that
know.
now they're split, you're like, ooh.
I know, and if they come back for, like, if there is a second season, it feels extra icky because, like, the kids are gonna see their parents, like.
Hmm. The disintegration of their
Yeah,
marriage. Yeah.
it's like, that's a tricky.
Yeah, but I mean, just to go off of that, like, it is very entertaining television, and it seems like it's really going to come to a head based on what the previews are for the rest of the season. So I am looking forward to that,
Mhm.
even though it is not good for them personally. It
Right.
is entertaining to watch. Okay, well, that was good. I do have a recommendation. I'm trying a new sparkling water. So, and it says it's new, but I don't know like how new it actually is. You know, they keep that on stuff for like ages, but it's a new Perrier flavor, and it is called Forever Blackberry. And I'm very particular about flavors of sparkling water because sometimes they just taste like gross, but this one is pretty good, and it's refreshing enough, and the flavor isn't too overpowering. So I would recommend to try that, especially hopefully we're moving towards some warmer weather. A sparkling water is always nice for those warmer days.
I know, I don't really like carbonation, so I never do,
Mhm.
like, sparkling waters, like, I don't like the carbonation in pop. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
I
I
mean, it
just
can be a lot.
yeah, I don't know, there's something about carbonate, like, I can have it, every once in a while, obviously, but
Mhm.
I like my flat my flat water. And I am going to recommend the avocado banana chocolate chip muffins if you're trying to sneak some
Mm.
veggies into your kid's diet. And it is working. And he has no idea that he's eating a vegetable. Or
Really?
no,
He doesn't he likes it?
no, he loves them. Well, he likes muffins anyway, and
Mhm.
he loves it. And they're so freaking good. And I'm just gonna keep making them. And I found some other recipes for some other veggie ones. I just haven't tried them.
Yeah.
ones are so easy, but
Because you have the food processor now. So
I do.
how's it been working?
It's been good, and I'm hoping to make homemade salsa in my food processor as well. But yeah, I literally throw the banana, the avocado, egg, and the honey, and it's this beautiful liquid for my dough.
That is so
Yeah.
easy.
I know, and they're so good, and they take like not that long to cook. And
Is your younger son eating them too?
oh yeah,
I mean, he'll
he's
eat
not.
anything.
Yeah, I know. I was literally eating plain Greek yogurt the other day, and he's like, "Comes up," and I start feeding it to him, and he was like, loving it. And then and I said to my husband about it. I'm like, he's literally eating this plain Greek yogurt, and then my husband's like, and that is like, it is so dry.
Yeah, it is.
It's so dry. And then like when he ended up wanting some of my water, and I'm like, he's like, you know what, Dad? You're right. It is pretty dry. But yeah.
He's so good about trying stuff. Like he does not care.
I know. If he sees me eating it, he'll eat it. But some stuff he'll try it, but he doesn't like it, which is fine because he eats so
But
much.
how good to try? Like a lot of
I
kids
know.
just won't at all.
I know. It's like, why not? The other one, then I've been I've been making bread too. So
Nice.
and my oldest one is literally loving all the stuff I'm making. And I found like little recipes for like homemade fruit roll-ups and stuff, but I haven't tried that one yet, but I have the stuff for it. And he's like super he's like, if you make it, it's good. I'm like, yeah. And we made homemade Chick-fil-A. That was really fun too. And he was loving that. I'm like, okay. So we just
you just have to make it. You can get away with anything.
Maybe his love language is acts of service. That's what it's been the whole time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like we always say, don't forget to give us reviews, give us ratings, let us know how much you love us. Because, we do this for you. We do this for the people.
Right.
And yeah, thanks.
My mom.
My dad doesn't really listen anymore. So.
My dad doesn't listen. I don't think my husband listens anymore.
I can't really give them shout out, even though I've said like put it on. If you listen on Spotify, and I know they do this on Apple Podcasts too, you can turn us up to like 3.5 speed. Just turn the volume down and give us a listen. Like you don't even have to listen to us.
I know. They don't do it.
So it's not that hard. And then if you have it up to like 3.5 speed, it's going to take like an hour to get through this episode. Less than an hour, probably like 40 minutes.
Literally.
Yeah, that's nothing.
No.
So just something to think about, guys. If you think my voice is annoying now, as one of our lovely listeners and commenters pointed out, wait till you hear it at 3.5 speed.
Well, sound funny.
Oh, but anyway, yeah, we'll see you guys next week.